Okay, looks like she is just about ready to join. So I'm going to launch in and start this. So, welcome everyone to the August Lunch and Learn, our virtual information sessions. Hopefully, you are familiar with these by now. If not, if you're new, if this is your first time, we do these monthly, and we've been trying to do deep dives on topics that might address some unique challenges that face the people that we try to serve. I am Landon Solano, communication specialist at Forward Service Corporation. I usually host these. If you have any questions about Lunch and Learns or suggestions, you can always reach out to me at my email address listed here. And as I will say in just a moment, these slides will be shared with you after the fact so that you'll have all this contact information. We only have a few more Lunch and Learn topics left. I very excited to talk about the things that we have coming up. We're going to be addressing healthcare next month to specifically address ways that we can help clients that might be potentially experiencing or at risk of experiencing a disruption due to the Badger Care and Medicaid changes. We'll have someone from Covering Wisconsin on to talk about ways that we can help them and options that they might have. So we hope you'll join us then and for our future topics as well. Today's meeting, if you haven't noticed already, is being recorded. It will be provided to you by the end of this week on Friday, along with a PDF of today's slide deck. We're also going to provide you a directory of our FSC offices in case you want to get in touch with someone in your local area. I'm also going to try to put together a takeaway from today's session that will compile just a few of the salient tips and tricks as we talk about ways that we can help clients find better success using access. As I go into today's topic, accessing access, we'll talk about these things that I've listed here and what we put out in the newsletter. But one thing that I think we're going to focus on a little bit more, since I don't want to make an assumption, but for the most part, I feel like people know what the Access Wisconsin tool is. We will do a very small overview, but really we want to find ways that we can help clients get through the process. How can they actually complete applications? How can they find the programs that they need, that they're eligible for, and continue to see their way all the way through the process? So we're going to break that open a little bit, and this will be a little bit different than normal as well, in that once we open the Q&A section, if any of you have found success with your clients using Access, we'll certainly be interested in hearing any tips and tricks that we haven't addressed. If you want to take the time to mention it at that point. So, okay. I got a little statistics here, and if you read the screen, I've got the graphic doesn't match the text, and that's intentionally. So I pulled this from job seeking website, but I think it still applies to people using Access, maybe even more so, because job applicants are often pressed against time, overwhelmed with a million resources, trying to find the path of least resistance and getting to where they need to go. So it's, I think, important to know that job applicants, people using Access, they feel that applications should be 5 steps or fewer, and that the people that create applications don't necessarily feel that way, but they also don't actually test their application process, which is why I think I wanted to put that to give context for the statistic on the right, which is that a way to help applicants get through the application process is to let them know how long an application is going to take. That way they can prepare, they can make the time in their day and plan for it, and be able to sit down and see it through to the end. And I recommend there's a link on this slide once you receive the PDF. So lots of interesting statistics and tips on how to get people through the application process. But I'm not an expert on this. I only know Access in passing. We have brought together today a expert on Access, someone who works with it at least. Her name is Melissa McGuire. She's a service center manager here at Forward Service Corporation. Melissa, I think I saw you on the chat. There you are.
Hello, hello.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today to talk to us about Access.
Oh, I'm very excited.
Fantastic.
Very excited. I apologize. I have my video off. There's a slight lag, and I want to make sure that I don't get the voice and all of that doesn't get disrupted. So I apologize.
Oh, no worries. No worries. We can hear you loud and clear. So I'll just make sure to smile extra wide for everyone. All right. You ready to go into a little deep dive on Access? I'll control the slides for you.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. Just give me a note whenever you want me to switch.
Yeah, so we actually can jump right in. I think you did a great job introducing kind of the topic and all of that. So the whole idea behind Access really is that we know that clients want to take care of their families and themselves, but sometimes it's tough. They don't know where to begin. And that's really where Access comes into play. So Access Wisconsin it's a secure online web portal, and it's where people can go to see if they qualify for programs, apply for benefits, and it's been put forward to really act as a faster, easier way to connect to some of those essential benefits and really getting the assistance they need in the time of need, and really to kind of break through some of the barriers. So reducing the number of appointments that are needed, freeing up time if the appointment itself or the application itself takes a little bit more time than they have to sit start to finish. So it really just is about freeing up their time so that they can spend it on the important things while still managing the application and still moving forward to access the benefits that they need. So if you want to move forward, Landon, we'll kind of jump into what you can do with Access. It really is a multi-purpose tool. You can use the Access website to apply for benefits across multiple programs. You can manage your benefits. You can view important reminders and changes. You can submit important documents. And so there's so much that kind of goes into what you can do within the website. It also allows you to do all of this from just one account. So you can have one space, you can get into it, you can discover other programs you might be eligible for. You can see if you qualify before even getting into an application, which is one of the biggest tools and one of the biggest resources that it offers. So before you even apply for a program, you can answer a few optional questions to find out which programs might be right for you. And then, it goes into a further application where you can actually apply for the benefits. But again, it lets you apply for either one program or multiple programs all at the same time. And the only thing you really need in order to get started is just to create an account. Once you've applied for your benefits, you can log into your websites and you can actually manage the benefits. So you can view letters, you can get your reminders, you can report changes, you can submit documents, you can even go further and renew benefits. And so there's a lot of accessibility within the app and within the website itself. We know that 9 out of 10 people applying for benefits have some sort of follow-up task that they have to do. There's some sort of job that has to be done in order for them to move forward. And it often centers around submitting documents, verifying information. And so having the ability to just submit one form to one place so that it goes to all programs really eliminates a lot of hassle when in kind of prior experiences, individuals would have to submit the same document to 4 programs. And so it really just offers a more cohesive way for them to stay organized as they're accessing different benefits. And then it gives everybody kind of the opportunity to gather that information and help expedite the benefit process. So all in all, it's really just this great tool to manage your experience end to end, start to finish, from just trying to figure out what you could potentially qualify all the way through to being enrolled and then potentially renewing. So there's a lot of great stuff that's just inherent in the Access website that sometimes goes unnoticed, but it really does offer up a little bit more of a hassle-free way of doing it, because applying for benefits is difficult regardless of how many resources you have, regardless of the program. A lot goes into it. So it's just a way to help them manage their time, manage their organization, so that they can get ahead in a sense. In order to access the portal, they just individuals just go right to access.wisconsin.gov. There's once they're in this website, everything that they need is kind of like right there. So they have help guides, they have helpful links, there's tutorials. Some of that information can be a little bit hard to navigate, but there are a lot of other programs that have created some supplemental resources, and we'll kind of talk through where individuals can get that information. But there are a lot of things, again, that they can do without even realizing it. So one of the biggest things is that when individuals are applying for benefits, they don't know what they qualify. They know how to access these benefits. They know they can go to a consortium, but they don't know how to actualize them. And so one of the really great things about this website is if you just answer a few questions about your household, income, asset, things like that, it's going to tell you the things that you can get help for, without having to say, I'm interested in these 5 programs. It's going to self kind of regulate, and it's going to say, hey, based on the information, based on your needs, and based on what you're telling us, these are some programs that you should probably continue to move forward with. And you're already in the place to do that. You can submit it all on one application. And so it just offers this seamless transition from, okay, now I know I need help. I'm looking for help. How do I get the help? Because that jump is sometimes one of the biggest barriers to applying for benefits. And then within the Access website, as we kind of move into the next slide, it's going to outline all of the different programs that you can actually apply for. So within the program itself, within our organization, you can apply for emergency assistance, job access loan, Wisconsin Works. There are different programs. You would have different case managers. There's different criteria. But again, it's a seamless experience because you get to submit one application and you can kind of transpose it across those benefits. But in addition to that, you can also apply for programs that help you with things like healthcare coverage, food and childcare costs, job supports. So it's a really well-rounded approach to how do we determine what sort of resources and programs and benefits are going to help your situation, so that you don't have to try to think through all of the different things that are going on and all of the different priorities that you have. So it really just helps list out what those benefits are going to be and how you can apply for them. And it's continuing to grow and it's continuing to add programs. One of the newer things they added was being able to do a pre-application for WIC, which is a huge benefit. I would go so far as to say all of the individuals with, minor children in their home at the appropriate age are enrolled in WIC or are interested in it. So it really touches across all of the different needs and all of those different priority points. And again, in just one account, in one application. So it's a little bit more seamless than having to call all of those different programs.
And I'll just take a quick second here to reemphasize the healthcare portion of this, just to foreshadow next month, in which we'll be talking about Badger Care Plus and Medicaid. They'll touch a little bit on using Access as well. So just want to reemphasize that those are things that can be applied for through Access.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that applying for benefits is just not easy. The programs and the applications are not inherently user-friendly. They're not designed to be difficult, but there's so much that goes into applying for benefits, and the eligibility can be so daunting when you're in a space that you're trying to work through crises and managing other things that are just a higher priority. When in actuality, what the client needs is the benefit. They don't need the hassle of applying and doing all of that. And so they're really trying to make big strides in how do we help them kind of bridge that gap to say, okay, you know, you need help. This is what we can help you with. Let's just actualize those services, so that you're not worried about where to access them or how to get to them. We're just going to help you kind of think through that. So then you can decide where your priorities lie, which ones make the most sense for you, and kind of what you want to do moving forward and where your focus areas are. So, you know, having the benefits across multiple programs in one area is huge, especially because those benefits are overseen by, you know, the IM and the consortiums or local partners. And so bringing them together in one convenient place, it's a game changer for some of the clients that are applying. So in addition to the website, which is really geared at helping individuals understand what benefits they could apply for, getting that application submitted, there's also a My Access mobile app, which is really really comes into play once benefits are, or once you've applied for your benefits and you're kind of moving forward with them. It offers the ability to manage things right from your phone. So again, you don't have to have a computer. You don't have to have all of that stuff. There are still some things like reporting changes, applying for benefits, and renewing benefits that you have to do through the website. But it's such a great supplemental piece to extend that website once you've gotten in, you've gotten all of that taken care of, to have a more convenient and just access point right there in your pocket to be able to get that information, to get some of the notifications, so that if you have something coming up, that your benefits aren't disrupted, because you have an easier way and you have a more consistent way of being able to access that information and manage how you interact with that knowledge, so that you can get those tasks done and you can get those things done without scrambling to figure out, where did I put that to-do list, or who was it that I was supposed to call, because we know that they have so much follow-up. So having, again, just that easy access right there in their pocket has really been a game changer for some as well, and being able to continue with that mobile app. So we found that having the two paired has been really nice, because once they get in and they get everything set up, it continues to be more convenient, and it continues to kind of get easier as they move along, which helps keep engagement going. It helps keep them encouraged, and it really helps individuals push past some of the things that are a little bit more difficult, that stand in their way of being able to actualize services and move forward so that they're successful with enrollment. So the mobile app is really amazing. It's free. They've got an iOS feature. You can also do Google or Android and all of those things. So the accessibility is there, and we find that in and of itself is a really big draw for clients. With that, we love access, obviously. We love that there are ways for individuals to connect to benefits. It doesn't mean that it's always easy. And we don't want to downplay the work and the effort and the challenges that clients face when applying for benefits, whether it's through this great online tool or through the phone. So one of the things we really wanted to make sure that we hit on today was just, what are some insights that will help you support clients as they're interacting with this interface. And so we kind of wanted to just go through some things that we've learned, or that we've gathered just as insights and feedback from clients that have helped us as we move forward with other clients, to make sure that their experience is a little bit more seamless as well. It is an online tool. So that initial website is a website. And so sometimes when you're navigating any website, there are some things that just can be frustrating. Sometimes it doesn't launch. Heaven knows I couldn't get my video up today. So there are things that are going to just happen. So some of the things that we have found to be the most helpful to avoid errors is really just making sure that when folks are accessing the website, they know where to go and how to access it, and kind of what's going to render the best result. So we know that the Access website works best in Google Chrome, Firefox, or the latest version of Microsoft Edge. If somebody's using some sort of Internet Explorer or an outdated version, or Safari, their experience it can get disconnected. We know that it causes some delay. So being able to access the website in the browser that's going to support it the best really helps kind of eliminate some of those frustrations. And then also, when when you get logged into those website, you're in the website. And so a lot of the navigation and when you're moving forward with applications, or if you're trying to go forward or backwards, really should be done within the app as opposed to the browser. So once we get to the right browser, and then once we get into the application, we just want to be mindful, and we want clients to be mindful that they're in the application. The application is designed to move them forward, to let them go backwards. And so to really use the functionality within the website so that things aren't being disrupted because of browser refreshes or something weird happens. And so being able to just help them understand that once you're in the app, let the app do the work. Click on the buttons that are in the app, and don't spend a lot of extra time trying to navigate the browser and do all of that. The website is built to be user-friendly in that respect. So it's great because it also does things like it keeps you logged in so you don't get bumped out and then your information doesn't save. So the only other thing that we would say that we have found to be pretty helpful is that helping clients understand that they're logged in, and so they have to physically log out so that they can save any information, so that if they're not finished, or if they want to come back, or if they need a break or a sandwich, or whatever the case may be, that if they log out, it will save that information, as opposed to it somehow randomly timing out and then them losing it. So they're putting a lot of effort into the work they're doing within the website. So we just want to make sure that they are aware of kind of that functionality of make sure you just log out and you're saving your work so that you can come back to it without frustration, in a sense.
That second point is something that I've done myself many times in applications in the past, and it is a big dropping off point if you lose all of your progress. So
absolutely,
yeah.
But one of the great things, though, regardless of trying to figure out, do I navigate the website or the browser and just the technical stuff, the website itself is built to be user friendly. It's really meant to be easy for anybody, but especially for those who may be less familiar with the web application or navigating online. Oftentimes we hear, well, I'm not comfortable using the internet or the computer. I don't like to do that because it's difficult. The web itself the website itself is designed so that once you're in it, you don't have to worry about knowing how to do all the other stuff. So it's really built on this idea of simplicity. All of the materials are written at a 4th grade reading level. There are tons of graphics to highlight some of the key information so that it's easier to process the information that's coming at them. There's a lot of inclusion to clickable links. There's embedded resources to easy access. So if they're looking for information on 211 or United Way, or if they want some additional insight about the program, or if they have questions about the questions they're asking them, there's a lot of stuff that's just right there. So the website we find to be pretty user friendly once they're in it. Some sort of time commitment to it. When the DHS and DCF was putting together this application and wanting to move to some sort of self-paced application, they really spent some time within focus groups and gathering feedback on how long is a client really willing to spend on different activities. And based on that feedback and based on what the clients were sharing, they designed it so that the initial screening tool, the one where individuals can answer a couple questions to then, retrieve a list of potential benefits, really should be a maximum of 15 minutes. We find that it usually lasts somewhere between 8 and 10 on average. So it usually is pretty quick. The application from there typically spans between 30 and 40 minutes. Now that's uninterrupted minutes, right? So we know that if they get interrupted or if they have another priority, that time can feel a lot longer. It's also, that 30 or 40 minutes is intense. They're answering a lot of vulnerable questions. They're sharing information with what almost seems kind of like a faceless, just they're putting their information in the website. So sometimes it can take a little bit longer because they stop and they pause at whether or not they want to input certain information. But for the most part, generally speaking, it takes about 30 or 40 minutes. And again, those applications and the way that the information is presented is at a 4th grade level. So we're pretty confident that 30 or 40 minutes uninterrupted is also at that same type of kind of user-friendly format. So But one of the really cool things is that there's 24/7 access to the website. So they can use it whenever they need it. They can use it when they want it. They can stop and start. Some individuals have a much easier time processing smaller chunks of information. Sometimes they get into the application and they realize it's asking for information that they didn't anticipate needing or submitting. Heaven knows it's hard to remember my own birthday, let alone 2 or 3 kids' birthdays. And so it really does give some flexibility in that respect. And so again, they can return and leave and come back as often as they need. They can take breaks, they can pause. They can take 4 weeks to complete an application if they need to. But the best part though is once information is submitted, that information is sent to the respective programs immediately. So it's available same day. If it's after hours or weekends, because again, they can access it any time, it's the next business day. But once they get that application submitted, that information can be acted on pretty quickly. So having the ability to explain that we understand how much work you're putting into the application, there's not going to be this tons of lag time before somebody can access it. You're not just going to be sitting online in this kind of blank world. So just letting them know that that information is submitted and accessed immediately can be helpful in just calming nerves and anxiety around that as well. I did want to just, again, hit on the screening tool and results. The purpose of the screening tool, which is that initial, let me just ask some basic questions, is to connect clients with benefits that they might not know they're eligible for. Oftentimes what we find is somebody is coming to the website with one particular program in mind. Maybe it's food share or Badger Care, but the screening tool does this really cool thing where it doesn't ask which program the client wants to apply for. It's going to take the information and it's going to kind of work through the needs that are coming up throughout the application and throughout the answers that the clients are submitting. And it's going to provide just some additional context and insights to say, hey, these might not be what you were initially looking for, but it really seems like you could benefit and you could be eligible for these. So again, just reinforcing that there's so much more bang for your buck when you're using it, because there's going to be so many additional resources and warm referrals, because really you can submit your application right then and there in a way that maybe doesn't always come across in some of the phone or if you're visiting a consortium or things like that. So that screening tool saves a lot of time because the application is 40 minutes. They can take 10 to see if it's really something that they could potentially be eligible for, just on basic criteria, where we don't want folks to have to spend 40 minutes when they may not meet some of the basic requirements. So it's really helpful in saving some time in that respect. The biggest tip, I think, is taking the extra minute to offer details about yourself to try to locate a case. So whenever somebody applies for benefits, any of the state of Wisconsin benefits, they have their case that's created. And so oftentimes when individuals are interacting with these other programs, they're submitting all of the information that's being asked of them in the application. So if they can take a couple minutes to try to locate their case, whether it's through an old account or just submitting and answering a couple questions, all of that information is going to be available to them. So they're not going to have to go and try to find birth dates or social security numbers. They've given that information already. And so the really great thing about Access is it stores all of that information in, and it's able to access that information. So it just reiterates that once they kind of start the process and once they're applying for benefits, we want to create some sort of seamless way to get them everything that could potentially help them. So again, whenever possible, we would just encourage folks to recover an existing account, taking an extra 5 minutes to call the help desk as opposed to spending 10 or 15 minutes to create the case, because there's so much additional insight and there's so much additional information that they can pull from and not have to go back and regather it. Another really great thing is you have the ability to apply for yourself, or you can assist someone else in applying. The only real insight though is to just make sure that whoever you're applying for, that you're answering the questions as if you were that person, so that the information when they get to the application, they don't have as much information to verify or to to discuss through, because it's in the context of who they are as an individual and kind of what their case information would look like. Um, there are some additional resources for us as partners. Um, there is a training environment for Access. And the training environment has almost the same functionality as the regular environment. So what this training environment does is it allows clients or applicants or advocates and partners to kind of go in, gain a better understanding of the process, the application, how information is presented. This is particularly helpful if there are individuals that there's a language barrier, or if there's just some anxiety around submitting the application. Having the ability to log into that while assisting somebody is very beneficial. We log into it several times when an individual is applying and they're asking us for help because they're stuck, because we can generally navigate to some of those same pages. It's not designed so that I can log in and access your information, but it gives you a sense and it puts you in that driver's seat to give firsthand knowledge to answer those questions in a way that really makes sense for the applicant or whoever's applying. So being able to just get into that training environment provides a lot of just additional advocacy for individuals that are helping that person apply. So that's the first big resource that we use pretty consistently. The second one is a toolkit that was designed by DHS, and it's used to help partners navigate Access Wisconsin successfully. So the resources are really geared at things like downloadable posters and flyers, small business cards that just have the access information on it, things like that, so that you have something tangible that you can hand off to a client or that you can use in conversation when making a referral, or pulling somebody back to the Access website. The toolkit itself was part of an unwinding initiative where we were coming out of some of the COVID restrictions and moving into a new normal. So there are some resources that might not necessarily apply, but all of the communication around Access is still current. All of the information is accurate. You can submit your email so that they can send you additional resources if the tool were to change, or if there were some changes, into the language or anything like that. So there's a way for you to just stay connected to the communication and kind of what the updates are that are coming forward with Access, because it's something that they've decided to invest in and to continue to grow with, and to continue to enhance. So it just gives you a way to stay connected so that you can be better informed, so that you can better inform your clients.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Melissa. I mean, that was a lot of information to unpack. A lot of great information. And if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But while we wait for those, do you mind if I ask, just jump in with a few things?
Oh, please.
So I was trying to wrap my head around kind of an overarching, I don't know, concept behind everything, that all the information that was conveyed. And I kept just coming back to the idea of communicating these things to the client, and letting them know what to expect when they enter into the system. But one thing you mentioned at the very end, which I wasn't aware of that was available to people, was that test environment.
Yep.
So I guess let me start with this and then go into the communication aspect of it, which is, it would make sense for me to know as much about Access as I could so that I can better convey that information to the specific needs of that client. Are people able to go into that test environment and really just learn how it works and how, get the answers to the questions that their clients might need in order to be able to communicate that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a newer environment. But absolutely, the whole idea of it is so that individuals that maybe aren't applying for themselves have the ability to go in and get the experience firsthand, start to finish. So you can go in and actually apply for benefits, look at the communication, see what what sort of clickable links come up, see what sort of regional resources come up. It's really designed to help give some context behind the system and how to use it and what to expect. So it lets anybody kind of log in and just work through it, click back and forth, get stuck on the browser. It really offers a real live experience with
Yeah.
it still being a training environment.
And that's, I mean, dovetails nicely for the statistic I put at the beginning of this, which I certainly didn't intend, but, you know, that so rarely do people actually test the things that we're asking people to go engage with. So I think it would be good for anyone to really just know what the experience is that the clients are going through when you know, going through all of this. Uh, I mean, and so I want to circle back around to the idea of just being able to communicate. You have a person in front of you who maybe, you know, there's one specific program that your organization deals with. Um, what I mean, what would be the important things to communicate to a client when they're first sitting down and you're introducing the idea of access to them? Because there's a lot of great stuff to do, but I
Sure.
just listening to, you know, a half hour of it, I was overwhelmed. So I would imagine
Yeah,
the client with so many other things, like
absolutely.
how to communicate to narrow down what, you know, and keep them focused.
I think the most important thing for individuals to really understand about access is they don't have to know what they're applying for. They don't have to know that they're what they're eligible for. It really is a tool designed to be interactive to say, tell me a little bit about yourself and your situation, and let me help you understand what sort of benefits could be eligible for you. So it's a really great tool for somebody to sit down and have an interaction in any space that they feel comfortable in at any point that they have time, and it's going to be intuitive enough to say, okay, this let me show you these programs, and let's talk about maybe what are some things that you don't know you could be eligible for. And let me show you them, because again, most people know that they need help. They know that they want to help their family and they want to help themselves. They don't know what's out there.
Mhm.
Most of us sometimes don't know what's out there, and it can be so overwhelming when you have so many different needs, and one program in and of itself can't wrap around. So it really offers a simple wraparound service to say, okay, let's talk about you holistically and what you need to do in order to access services so that it becomes a holistic approach. And it's really centered around what information is that individual telling me about their situation, so that I can be intuitive enough to say, these are the things that you need to check out. These are the places to start. So it really gives them a solid starting point, so that they're not trying to contact 15 different programs. It really just helps kind of focus in their effort because they have so many other things going on. And so any little bit of relief that we can offer clients in that initial upfront stage to say, hey, let's not be overwhelmed. Let's take it one barrier at a time. Let's take it one need at a time. And this does a really great way of doing that, of really filtering through those issues and those needs and presenting it in a way that isn't going to overwhelm the client. Because you're right, 30 minutes of this is overwhelming. And so it's much easier to sit down and say, I'm going to give you my name, a little bit of information about my household, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more of a personalized list of where to start. And then from there, the website will continue to kind of help push them forward in the application process. But it just offers a sense of calm in where to go from here. Where do I even start? And I think that it does a really great job of doing that.
Um, I have a, oh, sorry. It looks like we have a question coming in. Brian, you're on mute. I can't hear you though. Uh, Sorry, still can't hear you. No. I have another question in the chat that well, we get the technical stuff fixed
Okay.
up. Oh, there you are. Hi. Oh,
Okay.
I can hear you now. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, can we go ahead? So I am curious as to, it's kind of a question for our partners, which is I see we have a number of partners, particularly from Southern Wisconsin, some from domestic violence shelters. What, when you, what would you need to talk to a client about this to help them access all the services they need? Um, is there anything that we can provide as an organization for you to then provide to your participants?
Well, that kind of segues into the question that I
Okay.
was going to ask. If anyone has any ideas, please, turn on your cameras or mics and let us know, or put it into the chat, and we'll. I'm going to circle right back to that with
Okay.
this question from Lori. Lori, I'm gonna make your question a little bit broader because it's, I think, an interesting idea about drop-off points and touch points that we can do throughout the process. Lori asks about notifications, both as a staff member, someone who would be, receiving an appointment about one of the programs, but also as a person applying. What kind of notification system is there for letting staff know when something's available, but when like reminders of, hey, finish your application, or yeah, and maybe if you can touch also on whether or not it's different from the website versus the mobile app.
Yeah. So the system is set up to notify both clients and programs separately, because there's certain information that the client's going to find to be more beneficial, and it's going to be more important in kind of what their tasks are moving forward, as opposed to an agency. So the client gets a copy of their application. They're given some communication around policy, some additional insight into what the program is that they're applying for, kind of rights and responsibilities, what information they need to know. So they get all of the general communication. But then from that, they also get things like appointment reminders. They have, based on the information they're inputting in their application, they're given to-do reminders. So there's a dashboard that says, hey, these are some outstanding items. It could be that maybe the food share office is requesting a certain document, or W-2 is going to be requesting specific documents. It gives them any upcoming reminders. They can check things like their food share balance. They can get communications regarding like replacement cards. So anything that would traditionally get sent to the client via like a written letter or generated or anything like that, they can access that in the app. So there's not the delay of mail time. There's not trying to figure out if something got to them. All of that is right there. And so depending on what view they're looking at, they can look at it in different ways. They can look at it like in a simplified to-do list. They can look at it as the actual letter. So in terms of communicating, they get a lot of information from the website. And there are different ways to interact with it depending on the need. The mobile app is much more simplified. So the website is going to have long letters. The application summary page can sometimes get up to 40 or 50 pages, in all honesty. So they get a lot of information. So what's really great about being able to accompany it with that mobile app is that app is really simplified. It breaks down those 4 or 5 notifications that sent out to a list of 3 or 4 bullets to say, hey, don't forget to follow up on these, or hey, don't forget these important dates coming up. Don't forget that you have this appointment scheduled. So it does a really good job of simplifying it for them. As for the agency, so the agency gets the application itself, and then any other information. So if it was scheduled, that sort of stuff. And then depending on the type of program that they've applied for, or how many programs they've applied for, you'll get sort of work alerts, and you'll get some information to say, just to notify you that the information is there. So you get all of the information that essentially you would need. Again, it just depends on the program and all of that, but it does a really great job of giving you all of the information, so that you know that the application is there. And that's everything from the actual summary of the information they submitted, through any of the communications, updates, any of that. So you have access to all of it.
Yeah. So Lori's question is, once someone signs an EP on Access, would they be notified of that?
Not currently. Ongoing W-2 is part of the second enhancement.
Okay.
So it's going to be geared more towards Medicaid, food share, and all of that during this current one, and any of your pre-application stuff.
So worth mentioning just that the Access app is also, the online tools consistently evolving and grading. Yeah.
Yep. And they have renewals. They have updating information and that sort of stuff specific to W-2 as kind of up on the early horizon. So it's definitely been talked about. We've recognized that there's a need for it. So they'll continue to develop it because more and more people are interacting with it. EA has really become a big part of the Access application now. So individuals can get a lot of their emergency assistance documents, but that ongoing functionality is again just part of that second phase, which I believe is the fall or the spring of this next year.
Well, circling back to Brian's question, if anyone has any thoughts that they want to put in the chat, please let us know if there are certain things that can be provided to help people through this this process or get them started and help them find a little more success. You have any specifics, please let us know. But Melissa, is there anything, well, I guess you would have put it in your presentation, but is there anything specific that you've heard that might be of assistance? Like, here, I'll give you an example that we haven't mentioned yet. Is one of my first tasks when I started with FSC was creating tutorial videos on how to go through the Access application process. I've heard that those can be somewhat helpful. What have you heard of anything that people, like if people were going to go get a bookmark a specific resource, what would you say is?
It would be our website. So the communications team has put together a kind of like a public resource library for Access. We talk a lot about how great Access is, and it is, but it doesn't, I don't want to downplay that it can be difficult to access it. It can be difficult to use because somebody's applying for benefits. So it's a lot of information, it's a lot of work. And so if you go into our website and you have those Access videos up there, I think the longest video that we have is just over 13 minutes, but really on average, those videos are anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes. And they walk individuals through in a very simple approach, and they really highlight what individuals need to know about the Access website, how to use it, so that they can get the most out of it. They're at a really great slow pace, so they're great to walk along with. There's a lot of additional information that's just broken down in terms of rights and responsibility, some of the other policy that they receive within their Access application, so things about child support and good cause and notice of assignment, and some of the other things that really weigh into a client's decision as to whether or not they want to enroll in the program. And so it's in all of the resources that I've seen, the training environment is great. The winding down toolkit is great. But the videos that we have put together as an organization really speak to the true experience that the client has in Access. If I'm not mistaken, Landon went through every single step that you could possibly go through in that application. He did the things with the browsers. He submitted applications. He resubmitted it. He lost his login. He scheduled an appointment. He didn't schedule an appointment. So if you can think of something that could have been done, Landon covered it. And so, a lot of effort was put into taking that information and taking that experience and highlighting the stuff that's going to benefit the client in the fastest and easiest way. So to be able to go through those videos, they're broken down into different sections. So if something's not relevant to you in a specific situation, you don't even have to worry about skipping over it. That to me, I think is the number one resource that's available. And whether that's somebody looking specifically for an FSC program or really just looking for Access, it's a public resource, and it's really geared at just supporting the experience of an Access user. And I think that it's the best resource out there for anybody looking to use Access. I think they're well done. They're easy to understand, that you can slow the pace of the how quickly they go. You can slow it down, you can speed it up. There's captions. There's just so much usability in them that that would be my
I don't know how much I want people slowing down my voice. It's already kind of grating.
I did just for fun.
At quarter speed would be very irritating, but if it's helpful. Awesome. Well, listen, Melissa, I really appreciate you giving us all your insight on this today. And if anyone has any questions or suggestions and weren't able to put them in the chat, or if you're listening to this not attending but in the recording, if you want to reach out and let us know, you can certainly do so. Excuse me, at the contact information that we have in here. And you can get started with all of this at access.wi.gov. Yep. So thank you so much for oh yeah, thank you. Sorry, I got a little notification about something that I think is worth mentioning. One last little thing that Melissa, could you speak real quick to the idea that I guess ironically access that people can use job center computers, just where
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, the great thing about Access is it's web-based. So anytime you have access to a website, you have access to it. So any of our FSC offices that have like it's attached to a job center, obviously you can use those, but any of our individual offices also have kiosk touch points. They're communication touch points that just offer equipment so that individuals can apply for benefits either online or phone. So any of our FSC offices, any type of public library, any type of job center, there are some of the consortiums that are also attached with other types of offices involved. You can do it from an advocate's computer. Anywhere that has web access, you can use it. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know if that answers the question, but I get excited because it's really done wonders for bringing the program to individuals, as opposed to making the individuals search out and be in person and apply in person. It really, as long as they have a computer or some sort of electronic device that's going to let them use like a web browser friendly environment, they can access the application and navigate through it. Yeah,
great. That's, I think, a very important thing is that, it's increasing the access by allowing people to hop on wherever it's possible for them. Cool. All right. Well, I'm glad we touched on that. That was the last thought that I had and would have looked over it. So thanks for the reminder. I think we'll wrap up now and say, if you enjoyed today's session, we really, really appreciate your feedback on upcoming topics. It helps me know what to focus on in these things. And as you've seen the evolution of them, this all comes from receiving your feedback. So if you want to take a moment to take a 2-minute survey, it really helps us go a long way. I'm going to put this in the chat. But I'll also include all of the links that we have discussed today with the resources into the follow-up email that will be sent on this Friday. You can follow us on social media at Forward Service Corporation. Just search for us wherever you are connected. And I guess that is that. So thank you so much. Look out on Friday for the follow-up email with all of these resources and more. And we hope to see you next month when we're talking about healthcare. So thank you so much. And thank you for your time and attention today, Melissa. Really appreciate all the hard work.
Yes, of course. Can I have one follow-up, Landon, just in looking at the participant list for individuals that are still on?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, if you're working within CWW and you're within like the W-2 program or the food share program, things happen within the cases that come up because work alerts and just administrative stuff that sometimes can be difficult to navigate or know how to update. In situations like that, case managers can reach out to myself, any of the eligibility team leads. The QS department is amazing. They know way more than I could ever even imagine. So if there's things that are coming up or alerts or something gets weird or something gets forwarded to you from a county partner, all of us are able to kind of help work those items. Just reach out. We're happy to assist. We're happy to explain kind of what it is they're talking about, so that there's some context behind those requests for individuals to jump in and work some items that are associated with or loosely associated with access. So
awesome. Yeah. Anywhere that there's additional assistance is always good. So I'll get that information from you and put it in the email, but let people know
Wonderful.
to check this out as well, the end of this.
Perfect.
So thank you, Melissa. Really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for
Thank you.
attending. We hope to see you next month.
Bye.
Thank you.